You are now entering the Cue the Muses podcast. Please reserve submission of any joy meter statistics until after the program.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have a different thing going on tonight. In the house, we have members of Dave's Last Night, which includes guitar player from Cue the Muses, Dick Burke.
Avast ye,
or
assholes,
Diggler.
I see bandmates.
Oh, I thought you were going to hold it there the whole time.
I got a thing I got to do. Oh.
Great seeing you, Tim. Take care, man.
Hey, thanks for coming, Tim.
Yeah.
So, guys, anybody doesn't know, this is Tim Matthews, Jeff Withers, two buddies of mine. We've got a little group called Dave's Last Night. And you can see from the descriptions, if you're watching, Tim is mouth noises and Jeff is guitar. Dave's Last Nights.
I'm going to speak for a second because you guys are all together, so you can't hype yourselves up too much. But I was somebody that got to watch you guys, so that's a little different. So I can hype you up without sounding egotistical. And so you guys played your first show at an awesome big event over at Legacy. I'm sorry?
I think that was an echo.
Oh, sorry. I didn't want to cut anyone off. And you guys opened the show, and it was your first show. And one of the players that's also not currently in this little podcast segment is Dick Burke's son, Kyron, who is how old? 14?
14. He's 14. He's not old enough to buy cigarettes or beer, thankfully.
That's it. That's what's up. And I brought my 17-year-old son who knows Kyron. They're real good friends, and other people knew Kyron. So, I mean, other kids knew Kyron, so they got to see their friend perform in this big act. And I got to hear you guys for the first time because I'd only heard phone recordings leading up to it. I heard one home studio recording that was sounding really promising. But I got to tell you, live, there's some magic happening, boys. Like, seriously, like it was haunting. The songs, Tim, your dynamics on your voice are great, man. First of all, I didn't even know that you screamed. I'd only heard the clean, which I love cleaner singers. Like that's kind of what I gravitate to in general. Those are my favorite types of singers. But I like it when people yell too. And the way that you yell is like killer. I mean, it just worked so well with it. It gave a huge amount of dynamics to the band overall. The songs themselves and the structures and stuff. I mean, it was real easy to settle into, but it was progressive enough that it changed and I didn't know where it was going to go. But it also wasn't hard to absorb at all. Like I was able to get right into it. And then there was just a presence to it, man. Like I got to tell, like legitimately, there was a vibe to it. It wasn't as the standard just watching, band. Especially what's amazing is that it was your guys' first performance together as this lineup. And I was just thoroughly impressed, really enjoyed it. It was truly one of the highlights of the whole night for me. And again, I'm just, I'll tell you, I am not biased, even though Dick's in the band and I know you guys and stuff. I mean, I compliment as much as I want to compliment. I don't tear things down, but when I really like something, I voice it strongly. And so that's my sentiment as a first-time viewer of getting to hear you guys play. I thought it was fantastic. I think you guys have a lot of potential, and I hope to hear more of you guys, and I really look forward to getting to hear the recordings that you guys put together. I'll let you take it away from there.
That's a huge compliment coming from you, brother. Thank you.
You got it. So I don't know where to go from there. And good night.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having us.
Ash, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak too much for Jeff or Tim. They're going to speak for themselves, but I will say this group came together in such a cool, organic way. There was nothing forced. Jeff and I were in Fighting Giants together, and Dave was a vocalist for Fighting Giants, and Dave went through some very life-changing events in the last 2 years, and where he landed was, moving to Texas and starting a new life out there for himself in Dallas. And he's already in another band, and he's playing with a great group of guys. I flew out there and saw him a couple of weeks ago and hung out, met his drummer, went to a show. But in the midst of that, Jeff and I and John were still, just talking and playing, and we started coming up with a couple of new song ideas. I mean, none of the material is like stuff we were working on with the Giants, just stuff that just came naturally as we were still writing music together. And at the same time, Tim Matthews just happened to be back from his tour overseas and kind of back in the friend circle again. He never left, but it was like he was around. And so the phone call was made if he wanted to come to a practice and come do some vocals, just come out. I think I asked you, just come to practice and grab the mic. And that's what happened, if I remember right.
Yeah, we just come hang out and do whatever.
Yeah.
And we did.
And then from there it just moved. Things just moved. Songs came together naturally. It wasn't nothing felt forced or continues to feel forced. It just feels right. And that's when I know that it's like, okay, that's the stuff to push right there. And that dynamic that's happening is, as a musician, that's what I want to capitalize on. Those are the moments where it's like special. And I'm glad that you've got a good review of us, because I feel like the songs and the stuff we're doing is unique. Tim has a voice and a style that isn't like really anybody. I don't feel like Tim is a diet anyone else, if that makes sense.
Well, and it does, and we need to let these guys talk too. But I do want to throw one more. I could not, and I still can't quite place it. But Tim, there is somebody that you're reminding me of, and I don't know. I got to re-listen to Acid Bath to see if it's like part of that, or there's something going on where there is something that brings back some memory of music that got me into music. Which like literally, like it's that feeling, like I'm like, oh man, like it feels very real. I don't doubt what you're singing about. It doesn't feel like you're just throwing words out there. I think that you genuinely have put a lot of emotion into what's there, and the tonal quality, like the way that you actually execute it. I really want to hear that. There is live that happened. The recording has it, but it's not like that. And I just want to when you go to record, really, I can't recommend enough. Try and tap into it feeling like it's a live thing, because when people are watching, like there's an activation that seemed to have happened, and I assume happens, and man, it's fucking gold. So, it's there. Definitely keep exploring that and trying to tap into that.
Roger that. Yeah. Well, if you got to be tied to music memory, I guess the one that got you hooked on music is a good one. When you figure out who it is that reminds you of, let me know.
I will. There's definitely elements of Acid Bath, but I feel like there's somebody else that I'm not, and it's like it's a great voice. Different. You got a different thing going on. Plus, you have the screaming, so and you're singing different stuff. So it's all different. But ultimately, all of us are, we are expressing an amalgamation of what we've experienced through our art, right? And we're like this culmination of that. So we're going to have influences in there, and I think that's beautiful. And sometimes I get annoyed, like, oh, you guys sound like blank, and it's like, nah, it's just a reference point. I'm just kind of using a reference point, but I really think that you guys have your own thing going on.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. And you're right. It's genuine. It's slam packed full of, what we've been going through, life. music, in my personal opinion, the only good use for music is to get what's in out. And, that's, of course, a lot of people are classically trained, formally trained, and there's a lot of skill that goes into, really high level music. I have none of that, but what we do have is just, I think we're all well versed in getting, the emotions that are inside out there where you can hear them, and that's the only point in doing it, in my opinion. I mean, if it's not real, then why the hell are you? I mean, at that point, you're just writing it so you can hear it and hope that somebody else likes it, and you kind of miss the entire mark there.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I feel like there's three angles to performances and music, and those are either original music from the heart, emotion, trying to do something original, or you like covers. You want to be able to play people's stuff. That's fun. I'm not even criticizing that, but that is a whole avenue. And then you got the angle of literally trying to make something that is as marketable as possible, right? And that's a different bag in itself, and that's a talent. But it's not like a life exploration, introspective journey,
Right.
And that's definitely what I gravitate towards, and I feel like I gravitate towards groups that do that. Not to say I don't. I can find something in every genre that I like. I like pop. I like country. I like some rap. Without doubt, I like classical. I like you name it. I'll find something there. Old Western style stuff, old timey stuff. I love the nostalgia. But without doubt, rock is my home. It is definitely because I feel like it can have everything I just said in it. I feel like it's such a universal style, and it's not limited to the. It's not limited to staying in a box. You can take it to extremes. I mean, you could literally go from a country, catchy thing to absolute death metal screaming in the same song. Every dynamic is available in the world of rock.
Yes.
From the mildest, lightest to the biggest, heaviest, aggressive. I love that.
I think we attempted something like that in our set where we had a break and Tim played a solo performance acoustic of, it's not country, but when you play it's in that gray area between rock and country and folk, and like some triangulated position where it's just you and your guitar, and it's just you, and it's its own thing. And we, in the middle of our set at the show that you were at, Ash, at our first show, our only show so far, we stripped down and Tim took the stage by himself and played a song called Need that he wrote. Beautiful song. And then once that song was finished, we came and played probably our heaviest song, which I think, Tim, when we were writing it, you described it as if it was Deftones and Poison the Well got into a fist fight in a mosh pit at an As I Lay Dying show.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
Gotta have those.
I gotta kind of regurgitate something I heard today as far as music, and maybe I'm not allowed to say it. We can edit it out later if we need to, but I was watching, it's another podcast. I was watching another podcast, Bill Burr's podcast. Bill Burr is a comedian.
I love me and Bill Burr. Go way back.
He's fucking awesome. He had Josh Homme from, or Homme, however you say his name, the guy from Queens of the Stone Age, vocalist. Okay. And they're talking about, yeah, I love him. He's fucking fantastic. And they're talking about,
doesn't he have cancer or something?
No. Oh, fuck. I hope not.
Yeah, he does. Somebody was telling me that. Yeah, dude. He's like, not. I'm like 99% sure. You're
killing me right now.
Yeah, I haven't looked this up. I haven't fact checked it. I think Jeff's helping us out here. But I swear somebody told me that. And I was caught off guard by it in a big way. But I didn't mean to commandeer your story. Hopefully that's not true.
No, but yeah, me too.
He was diagnosed with lung cancer last year in a new interview with Revolver Steve Appleford. Yep.
I think that's why he canceled at Rockville that I was at.
Really? Yeah, that was the only day. That was the only day I wanted to go. They are booked for Rockville this
Said
year.
that surgery to remove it was successful.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's great. I know.
I'm
you know,
sure he's
cancer's
got a
hard
long
one.
road of recovery ahead, and we wish him well.
Yeah.
Well, he said something pretty profound in a kind of a silly way to Bill Burr in the podcast, and it's in like if you pull up Bill Burr's podcast with Josh Homme, it's in the first literally like 30 seconds. They start talking about his new album, and Bill says something like, "I just want to let me get the ass kissing out of the way now, and tell you how awesome I think it is, so it's not weird later, and you don't make it feel weird." But he tells him how great the new album was, and he's listening to the songs, and he's like, "Oh, I don't feel like I'm intelligent enough for this, but I can't stop listening to it." And Josh Homme says, that's a great compliment because I strive to be a 50 times listen type of a songwriter. And when he says that, he like a lot of bands and like a lot of the bands that write this music that's like in a category, in a box that's written for radio or for this or for that, trying to write the hits. A lot of times they're like a three time listen and then you're over it. And then Josh Homme kind of he made a metaphor. It's like fruit striped gum. It's like, oh man, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. 3 chews later, 3 pumps in, and then you're like, what the fuck happened? This is terrible. And I try to I'd like to think that the music that all of us in this little 4-way we're doing here make together, between Ash, the music you and I make, and definitely the music that I'm making with Jeff and Tim, because writing with Jeff and Tim, I feel like the lack of a constant is always an issue with music, because I've been in more bands than I can count. I couldn't even name them all, but the constant for me has been the people that I've played with the longest, and Jeff is definitely one of those people. And now that Tim's back, we were in a group together, guys. What, it was 2015, I think, when we were all in together.
8, 9 years ago.
Yeah, 86 the earth. The in the music, when you and I are putting the helmets on, there's actually there's an edit bug in there where my guitar case that says 86 the earth is in the background of both your and my shot. I did that on purpose because I want that subliminal pump in there, because that's
a second case.
Yeah, it's 2 cases, but that band 86 was like it was kind of like the catalyst for that different type of songwriting, I think, for and my first time playing with these 2 guys. Like Jeff, you've been a predominant songwriter in Dave's Last Night. Like you've been really active in being a major part of writing these songs. Like, and you played the show with a fucking broke foot.
I was planning to bring both those things up. Yeah, you had a cast on your foot. You're playing one-legged man over there.
Fighting a bear.
Car drove good. The track was good. We just went out there and we just put the pedal to the floor and just did the best we could. Felt good. Sounded good.
How were you switching your pedal board? I kind of kept.
So that was a little tricky. I had at first come up with this peg leg contraption. I was just gonna stand on my peg leg on my knee. I came up with a knee pad with a peg leg where I could just stand there on my peg leg, and then I'm like, wait, I have to switch pedals. I have to do some volume swells and different things on my pedal board. This won't work. So what ended up happening was I took a piano throne and just lowered it down to where I could kneel on it for most of the show, where I would stand upright kneeling on it. And then when I needed to switch channels or do volume swells, I could quickly sit down and have my my good foot accessible to the pedal board to make those switches and stuff. It's kind of weird, but hey, it worked.
Yeah, and you did that without any rehearsing. I mean, basically, because it happened.
Not even once. Yeah, not even once.
Did not have a peg leg practice.
That's scary, man. Well, you played enough shows? Did that make you nervous at all, or you just thought it was kind of funny?
So I'm always a little bit nervous before we play. It's one of those things I don't think will ever go away. I go out there and try and do the best I can. So this didn't add any extra nerve than what would be normal. It was just kind of like, hey, if I mess up, people are going to be understanding. Hey, I just broke broke my foot 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We didn't cancel the gig. I'm here. We're doing the thing, and I'm just going to do the best I can. And it worked out, and I think we played a great show. And
I agree. I think you did great, man. And then Dick was talking about how much you're contributing to the songwriting. That was going to be one of my questions. You know, when there's two guitar players, who is one person predominantly writing, or certain songs starting off as one of the others, and then you guys collaborate? I'm curious.
So I would say certainly in past projects, Richard has been the primary songwriter. He just has a lot of ideas, and my songwriting has been stale in the past, just for whatever reason, one reason or another. So I would just kind of bounce off Richard's ideas and write my own parts and add here and there when I can. But as far as writing my own songs and own riffs, I had a few things on the back burner, and we've been able to bring them into this project, and the way that they've translated has come out really cool. My ideas, Richard ping pongs off of those and adds his own thing, and just with Tim's vocals on top of that layered, it makes it so cool.
It really does. I mean, I think it's sounding fantastic. And like I said, the song structures themselves, it's like they're not hard to catch on to, but I also don't know where they're going. I love that.
That's kind of gets back to that whole 3-chew thing you're talking about. You want to have to listen to it more than a few times before you are like, okay, I can tell you the song structure by memory now.
Yes.
You want to have to listen to it several times. Okay, I see the change here. I see what's going on. It keeps you interested.
I mean, I thrive on music that is interesting enough that you just keep listening to it and constantly hear new things about it, and then, you know, hear it in different lights. And a handful of my favorite albums of all time, like top 10 albums, you know, or maybe even some of them are top 5 albums, I literally didn't even like the first time I listened to them. I mean, I only persevered through because I purchased the physical album, and if $20 was spent, I'm going to give it another try. And then the second time, it's like, well, that song,
There's got to be something good.
One song on there. Third
That's
time, it's like,
what,
actually, there's a few
kind
songs.
of what Richard was talking about the other day. We had a conversation, and he was mentioning about how he was never really a big fan of the Mastodon. What was the album?
It was Leviathan.
He didn't really care for Leviathan the first 20 times he listened to it, but here recently he has found a new appreciation for it, and he loves it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's one of the weirdest things that I love about being a musician and growing as a human. Like, because the Mastodon album at that point in my life, I bought it kind of because I think I had heard the main song, the Blood and Thunder song, and thought it was a really cool riff, because it is one of the greatest fucking riffs of all time. But it also had an incredible album cover art. You know, the album, it's a concept album based on the story of Moby Dick. So it's like got this beautiful fucking oil painting of a white whale with like this lattice, you know, sequin, like almost crown thing on it, of destroying a ship. And that scene has been like one of the memories burned in my mind from childhood, you know, growing up watching like Jaws and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and just like I've always loved the scenes of the boats being attacked by sea monsters. It was just like beautiful. But I bought the album when I was like 22 when it came out or whatever, and I was like, I wasn't ready. I was like, the fuck is this? I listened to it. I said, what? I literally like chunked it in the bed of the truck and forgot about it. And then literally 20 years later, come back to the same band, and the light just turned on, and I said, holy cow, This literally is it's my favorite band, hands down. I made David was here with me all day yesterday. I made him watch all of the documentaries of their studio. They make a studio documentary for every recording they do. They've done it for the last 15 years, and it's all brand new to me. So and I made Dave watch it, and Dave looked at me. He said, "Man, I'm really starting to pick up on this Mastodon stuff you're laying down. This is like," I was like, "Bro, they're like the coolest band ever." And one of the big things about coming together with this Dave's Last Night group with these two boys who I'm friends with here is like, I feel that same honesty in the songs, the same, it's an honesty, and it's also a lack of fucks for anything that should be a song. There's no like, we need to make sure it's not 3 minutes or longer. You know, we need to make sure this or that. That's all out the window. And, you know, the other two guys in the band, my son and John, our drummer, they're not here, but John has been in groups. I've been in probably 5 bands with John, if I had to just throw it out there. I think I've been in 5 different bands with John. And I've always had the approach, like what Jeff said earlier, like I've been a main songwriter in some of these groups, and I've always kind of tried to force this style of writing onto John as a drummer, and it hasn't been fair. And in this group, it's been a lot of letting go of, like, it doesn't matter what I think the drums should be. I think John has come into his own with this group, with his own style that's just phenomenally stupid good. And it's opened my eyes up to just how good of a drummer he really is. Like he's got song ideas he comes to practice with, and we need to finish it. There's one that he brought up a couple weeks ago at a rehearsal that, you know, he said, "I've got this weird pattern, let's do something with it." And that kind of thing nurtured, I think, turns into a much better song than trying to say, "Okay, I want you to play a halftime, double time, halftime, whatever," you know, like the formulatic kind of thing.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, he sounded great. I mean, the whole chemistry of all of that sounded great. You mentioned that I've only mentioned this in one other of the 21 previous podcasts, so a lot of people didn't hear it. But a fun fact, Mastodon, we had in Kill Clouseau, my old band, a keyboard player, and that keyboard player was an insane musician. He kind of put us all to shame musically. I mean, the guy was like virtuoso good. He was a little older than us at the time, and he worked as an IT tech for Tallahassee Memorial. And there was another guy that worked as a tech there at Tallahassee Memorial, and that guy was a keyboard player. And he went on tour multiple times with Mastodon as their keyboardist.
Awesome.
And so we were like, "Dude, I am sorry." Because this buddy, we knew our guy was way more talented as a keyboard player than the guy that got to go on tour with Mastodon. I'm telling you, this guy was like, I don't know, I can only name guitarists that are virtuoso good. So it's like, you know, I mean, he's like an Al Di Meola or a Kirk Hammett of freaking piano playing.
Yeah.
And, he was stuck with us, you know, so I felt bad for him.
You guys were awesome.
We didn't have the audience built in that Mastodon did, though. We were hoping it was going to be a pipeline to like, "Dude, can you get your keyboardist to show Mastodon our stuff? We want to go on tour with them. We'll open up. We'll be," you know, I mean, that's what we all want, right? When you're in a band, the best opportunity you can ask for, unless you're just getting put at the top of a playlist, is to get to go out on tour, opening up for an act that has a built-in crowd, for an audience that, you know, if they knew you existed, would totally dig what you're doing. That's the goal, right? And that is so amazingly hard to achieve. And it does cost money, you know, you guys. I mean, just to get into this part of it with, you know, we can talk about the actual logistics of being in an independent band and trying to make it. You know, guys, if you don't know, I mean, when you see bands open up for acts that are running legs, you know, on tour, and they're the draw, and you see these opening acts that you've never heard of before, most times they have paid a chunk of money in the, you know, usually I mean, thousands of dollars, oftentimes upwards of sometimes $20,000 getting started here. And they're getting to open up on that show. So when you see a band open up at a show and you've never heard of them before, you have no idea how much you are helping them if you buy one of their albums, because they have put all their money into trying to get on that leg of the tour, unless they've got the financial backing from a label. And labels are a whole other conversation about, that's really just a loan, a financial loan, giant bank loan with a crazy payback plan. Not that you shouldn't do it, but you're still playing the lottery. You're going to have to pay all that money back. And if you're not successful, really successful, you'll, at best just pay it back, and you're not coming out of it with money in your pocket. So it's a big tightrope out there.
It's almost, the bands make money on tours now. It used to be that the bands made money from album sales. And in the last several years, there's been a cascading, accumulation of factors that have crippled bands from being able to make money in the traditional way that a band has made money. So now, you talked about buy their album. Well, when you go to a show and you go see a band and they have CDs, like in my case, and if I go to a show and a band has CDs for sale, and I'm like, hell yeah, the band was amazing, I want to buy the CD. I buy the CD, then I go put it in my car that doesn't have a CD player. I drive a 2014 SUV and there's no CD player in there anymore. Okay, so if I can't play the CD, I'm thinking, like, in my house, what do I have that plays CDs in my house? Almost nothing. I have an old computer that's 10 years old that has a CD disc in it. So there's no CD player anymore. Okay, well, now there's the tangible purchase out the window for a band to sell their music at a show. Well, then what do you do? With Fighting Giants, we tried the idea of, we put our album plus the music video that you made for us on a flash drive, and we sold the flash drive at shows. And this was in 2019 when we did our CD release party. And the flash drive at that point in 2019, the flash drive, people looked a little weird. Like, it was like that was like the turning. 2019 was kind of like that year where it turned. People looked at the flash drive like, what is that? Oh, the album's on there? Well, you don't have a CD? Like what's going on? It was confusing. But now if you say, hey, would you like to buy a flash drive with our album on it? It's great. And people might bite on it. But people right now are used to Spotify and like Amazon Music and whatever the other one is, where they can just go in there and listen to whatever music they want to. And that's cool. I mean, it's great. But the problem is the band gets, I think the band actually gets exactly 0.00038 cents on the dollar for every spin that their song gets played on Spotify. So I've had, Jeff and I have had the Fighting Giants stuff out since 2019, I believe, on Spotify. And I think we've made about $13 in the 4 years that it's been on Spotify from streaming sales. And it's like, so where's the incentive for bands to sell music at a show? Well, fuck the incentive to sell music at the show. And that's where, Ash, you and I are doing Cue the Muses with presentation that's only on YouTube. You can't go to Spotify and listen to Cue the Muses right now. You guys listening can only tune in and check it out on YouTube. Episodes 1 and 2 are out. Ash, you're how far into episode 3? 50%?
55. 55%. And we might, it's such a hard tightrope of what to do with that situation. The reason we pulled our music from Spotify was because we wanted everyone to be able to share our music. And the only way to be on Spotify is to use one of those platforms that distributes your music for you and gets it and keeps track of your copyright. So the only way to get on Spotify is to use something like CD Baby or DistroKid. And when you do that, it keeps track and flags when people post the video to their own pages. But we wanted everyone to physically upload anything that they were willing to because more people will see it versus sharing a video on Facebook. When you share somebody else's video, very few people see it versus you uploading your own video. So we wanted people to upload it. So the only way that we could allow people to do that, our, massive band and the actors and everyone have access, was to pull it from Spotify. So it's like such a catch 22. And the only way that you can actually have them not flag it is it gets flagged, it might get muted, it might get removed. And in that window of time, you have to send or update a list to the distribution company that you're using and let them know this specific page on this account for this person is allowed to use this. And you can't do it until after there's an upload of it. So it's bullshit.
It's so counterintuitive because the way things get spread now, I mean, times are changing faster now than they ever have in any. Like it's that there's a law. I don't know what it is, but it's like that perpetual motion where, it starts at one speed, but it slowly and gradually continues to gain more and more speed, faster and faster. And right now it's just starting to get out of hand in a way that, these videos that people make, the best chance you would have as an independent artist is somebody to put your song on something to make a video that goes viral. And that's a very finite and extremely small window of time. Like say someone used your song, like Tim, say you had one of your acoustic songs and someone made a TikTok video with your acoustic song on it and it went absolutely viral and millions and millions of people like what's his name, the guy from Virginia recently, Oliver Anthony, his video went absolutely viral. And it was like, imagine if someone had done that, but then you had your music uploaded through a DistroKid or a CD Baby, and as soon as the video began to go viral, they mute it, and then you lose the window. Then it takes Ash and I experienced this. It takes like a week to get through to them to get the ban lifted where it actually comes back, and then after the week, well, fuck, nobody gives a shit about the video anymore. It's gone. Then the opportunity is
something else. And the personality might have moved on mentally as well because they're onto the latest new thing. And the final straw that broke the camel's back on why we officially yanked it was we went and did that event, Spookala, and we did make a connection with somebody that had an Instagram following of around 240,000 people on it. And then I made a highlight video of that event, which showcased our music. It went to our music and it showed a clip of our song in it. And he wanted to post it on his own page. We're like, fuck yeah. And he did. And then it rejected it on Instagram. And so then we spent a week trying to get that situated. And he eventually just made his own clip out of it. It cut off the music part. And it didn't do like much of anything. And he edited it. So it was like this 480. It was a low resolution. We got screwed. We really missed we went to Spookala, spent all that money and time and effort. And this is the best thing we came out of it with. And that got squashed because of DistroKid. So, but then you can't be on Spotify unless you freaking use one of those things. So this is a tricky, I don't have a solution to it. This is a very frustrating predicament. And I can't imagine that other bands haven't run into this problem. I mean, if Tool wanted to upload one of your songs on their fan page, you do not want that to get pulled down if they do that. They're not going to do it again. That was like your opportunity to open up for Tool, like that was your leg on a tour kind of thing, except way more people saw it. I mean, that's the final thing. So it's a weird thing. We could go on and on about that, but that is a factor for you guys to factor in when you're deciding what to do and how to distribute your music. It's very tricky and it's a weird one. And so from there,
it's catered. I think the streaming stuff is catered for the bands who are writing the music the way that you talked about, like the ones that are writing for the formula, trying to get that catchy latest sound and put it out there. Yeah. And honestly, not to be, because a lot of those bands are great. I love eating potato chips and I listen to a lot of music that is like eating fucking potato chips. You know what I mean? I listen to catchy rock songs all the time, and I jam, sing along. The kids love it. It's great. But when the bands that I really keep close to my heart, that I continue to listen to for years and years, they're not like that. And and I feel like the music that I know, the music that Tim writes is not like that. I know that the music that Jeff, you and I've had conversations about this exact topic recently. You know, how you kind of, when it sounds too catchy, it almost turns you off and you don't want to hear it. And I feel with our music, we're not writing for that formula. And I think the avenue may not be to put it on a streaming platform. It might be, guess what? You got to come to the show. And if you want the music, you got to get it from us. Like,
but how do the people know? That's the trick, right? Yeah. How do they know to come to the show? Like, you haven't attracted them yet.
The beautiful thing about this is this band was not made to make music. That is not the goal here. At least I don't think it is. I don't see it becoming the goal.
You're out.
Wait,
I'm kidding.
I mean, everybody in this band has a career. Everybody's self-sufficient. Yeah. We're not 16 anymore. We're not. Yeah, it'd be neat. Yeah, it'd be great to go do the tour, but we'd be doing it for the experience, not because it's going to be a life changer. That I'm not going to go make more money making music than I do running my own business. Mm-hmm. You know,
that's
so
right.
that gives us the freedom to do what we want to do. And I think the big dynamic that we've got is that, you know, Jeff is writing music. Jeff's bringing his own shit to the table, and so is Richard, and so am I. You got 3 singer-songwriters in this band that are fully capable of doing their own thing on their own, and we all have at some point. And now we're able to all feed off of each other. And I know that first time I came over, you guys already had a couple of riffs ready to go, which ended up turning into Lead Us Home and Locked in Time, and it was like coming home, you know, jamming with you guys. We've all, you know, we've helped each other, you know, raise our kids, and we've been together for a long time. We've played a lot of music together. We've done a lot of shows. Mm-hmm. I know Jeff, you talk about getting nervous before every show. Like, that's a thing that happens, and I totally understand that. But I was talking to Stephanie today or yesterday. I was like, that didn't happen this time. It's the first time in my life I've ever done a gig, and there was absolutely zero anticipation, no anxiety, I did not give a flying fuck, because I'm in the band I'm supposed to be in, because I'm in it with my family.
There you go.
And we're making the music that we're supposed to make because we're making it for us.
Yeah, it's the purity of making it. That is a beautiful thing about us being at this point in our lives where we have the ability where not everything is riding on this. In fact, potentially nothing needs to be riding on it. It's fun if it goes somewhere else or gets picked up, but it's not. Again, none of the music that we're associated with is written as for the purpose of trying to be as marketable as possible, because it would sound very different.
The point of us doing this is to be able to get together and do this. Like, that is.
And I align with our drummer John a lot in the way that he's always said about music that, man, I have to play the drums. If I'm not playing the drums, I'm in jail. This is truly therapy for me. The last practice we had, I had a horrible day. I showed up to practice in such a bad mood. And within 2 minutes of the first song we played, I'm a totally different person. And that's why we do this. It's not so we can write $1 million song or fit into a formula or sound like a certain way. We do this because we love it. And it's all organic. That's what makes it special. That's that little bit of magic you cued into.
Yeah. You talk about you talk about that something engages, you know, with that night. And it happens sometimes when we're writing, but a lot of times, honestly, at practice, we're writing and there's something to get done, you know. Yep. And if we're fucking up, we stop and we work on it. You know, we try to get it right. When you're on stage and you're in front of people, all of that goes out the window. Rehearsal time's over. You don't stop. You hit a sour note, you get off beat a little bit, you push through and you fix it. You do whatever. There's a first, I mean, from the time we said go to the time we said, okay, we're done, I checked out. I'm pretty sure I was on stage for about 2.5 solid minutes, and that was it. Blink your eyes and it's done. You know, and it's it's a blast. And it feels good, and you know, it's getting blackout drunk and checking out without drinking anything.
Yeah, beautiful. And that was, when's the last time you performed? Was that when you did an acoustic performance just with Dick that I saw a year or two ago, or have you performed since then?
I did one acoustic show by myself since I got home from deployment, but prior to that, yeah, it was that gig, and that was right before I deployed. So, you know, I've been 86. The Earth broke up, you know, that was 8 years ago, and I got involved with running my business and doing things, you know, raising my family, and I wasn't pushing. These dudes were busy. I wasn't trying to find other people to play with, and I've literally been gone for, you know, the bulk of 2 years, you know, and you know, I'm so fucking thankful that they asked me to come and play. Like I needed this again.
Oh yeah. Glad to be in a band with my brothers again.
You know, and just hanging out with people that push you like this. Everybody that's on the screen right now, you know, except for myself.
I just want to touch on a different thing real quick. The familiar voice that Ash hears from his early days in music. I know Tim has a lot of influences, but I love the Danzig that I hear in his voice. The early Danzig, the Misfits.
Yeah. I can hear that.
It shines through all the time.
Yeah, you do call that out quite a bit. And that is,
and I love it. It's not in a weird way. Sounds great.
It really does.
I tell you what, I agree with the Danzig statement, and I hear like a weird amount of Phil Anselmo from Pantera, but not Pantera Phil Anselmo. Like I hear like down Phil
Anselmo. Okay.
You know, the look, I am going to do melodic shit for the reason that it needs to be and nothing other than that. I'm not going to try, like, I'm not going to, you know, Tim, you don't try to pretty it up. You just do whatever's there, and whatever you're saying, however that needs to be said, that's how it comes out of you. You know, you're not trying to hit a certain, you're not trying to sound, I can't explain it right. It's like, you know, I listen to bands and I hear vocalists a lot of times, and it's like, okay, yeah, he's really, you know, I want to tell a funny story real quick, real sidebar, and then I need to leave the screen for a second because I got to pee. But we're doing the demo, right? And we tracked the demo. We tracked the vocals for the demo right about 3 feet to the left of where Jeff's sitting right there. And we had a makeshift little Fab Shack vocal booth set up in the corner of that room. And Tim sat in that, you know, he sat in that blind curtain and tracked vocals for all 6 songs. And then when I got home, I started doing I was excited. So I got home. Amber had to work at 4 a.m. So she got up at 3:30. I got up with her. As soon as she left the house, I got on the mixing board. This was like a Saturday morning. And I started just hitting the edit. I was like, oh, I gotta get it downloaded. Jeff's guitar tracks, Tim's vocals. And I did the same kind of mode that I've done in the last 4 or 5 songs that I've mixed. And I used a tuning program for vocals that just cleans things up. And it's always really transparent. And I went through and went to the first song. And this was just like it was early in the morning. My brain's on autopilot. Like I'm just, okay, I'm putting it where everything needs to be. And then kind of like half asleep, but just doing it. And then I listened to it. I was like, yeah, it sounds cool. Sounds cool. Everything's good. Sounds great. Sent it to Tim. And this was probably one of the most impressive things that's happened to me as a musician and a peer musician moment. I sent it to both of these two guys, Jeff and Tim. And Jeff kind of sent back, said, yeah, sounds good. And Tim came back and said, what the fuck did you do to my voice? And before I could even like say that I had done a program and this, I was like literally typing like, hey, I just sent it. I used a program. It's pretty transparent. I was going to say, let me know if you hear anything that's too much. And he was like immediate right on there. I hear it. It's not. No, take it off. That's not who we are, is what he said. He said we're not that band. That's not who we are. And I was like, oh shit, you could hear that? And Jeff was like, I didn't hear anything. But Tim, like that ear that he had, that's what impressed me the most. I was like, fuck, he has an ear that I don't have. You know what I mean? It's like there's something, and that Ash, you have that same thing. Like you were picking mixing notes out from the Cue the Muses stuff that I just didn't hear, that I just don't hear. I don't have that ear. And so what I did, I took all the shit off, and I was curious. I did a side-by-side of the original vocal Tim laid raw, unedited, and then the one that I did. And when I did the side-by-side and listened, I was like, you know what? There's nothing that needed it to start with. It's like that honest, raw performance, that just genuine moment. You know, take all that shit out. And that's how Tim's always been. Mm-hmm. Whether recording the solo, the acoustic stuff that he's got. Tim, you've done, I think, 3 albums worth of material with me on 3 different trips. And it's always just an acoustic, him and an acoustic, 2 microphones, one on the guitar, one on his voice, no edit, throw a couple plugins, a little bit of reverb, a compressor. And it's like, shit, you've recorded 40 songs with me.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's all but
1 or 2 takes, one evening, just jam them out.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You either get it right or you don't.
I gotta step off screen for a minute, but Tim and Jeff, I want you guys to tell Ash and the people listening where the name came from, because Dave's last night is a little misleading maybe for people in our circle. I don't know. I'll be right back.
He stepped out. He did.
Well,
I guess now carry the show.
I guess I have to sort of take the reins on this one. So, as he mentioned before, Dave was in a transitional period to where he was going to start a new life in Texas.
This is David Rowe from Fighting Giants and many other bands, right?
From Falling at Will, Fighting Giants, Pipestone, and many more.
Let's be clear. Not that kind of transition.
Yeah. Yeah, no. He was not having a life transition, but he was transitioning where he lived in careers, starting a new life in Texas. So there was a period of about a month there where he wasn't exactly sure when he was shipping out to his new job in Texas. So we would practice and stuff, and then I would tell my wife, hey, Dave's leaving soon. We're going to go out and hang out. We're going to go have a few drinks at the bar. It's Dave's last night. We're going to say our goodbyes and go hang out for a while. Okay. We'd go out, have fun with the boys, show up way too late, and this went on for a couple weeks. And finally my wife said, let me guess, it's Dave's last night. After about the 4th time. Let me guess, it's Dave's last night. And I swear this time he's shipping out tomorrow. So that's kind of where the name came from. Let me guess, it's Dave's last night. You're going to hang out with the boys again. Let me guess, it's Dave's last night.
I mean, what?
fucking last night's Dave's gonna have.
So this went on for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And I truly thought that he was leaving, but then his ship out date, he couldn't get his apartment lined up, or he wasn't supposed to start until the following week, just different details. And I truly think it's Dave's last night, but we get another Dave's last night a few days later, and maybe one a week later. So that's where the name came from. It's pretty organic, and my wife came up with it. Let me guess, it's Dave's last night.
It's such a random name, but it's also somehow easy to remember. It's also easy to spell. That's a good thing. Like,
yes,
my old band's name was Kill Clouseau, and that was a nightmare on flyers.
I could try, but I'd still get it wrong.
It was like hard to spell. It was spelled wrong on every flyer at every show. People were like, what is it? And it's like, and all it was a reference to the old Pink Panther movies with Peter Sellers. Me and my drummer at the time, it was like me and him and a bass player. We didn't have our singer yet. And we were just like in between. We take a break at band practice, and we walked in, and the TV was, was a Pink Panther movie. And the inspector had gone crazy. Not Peter Sellers, but his higher chief commander. I can't remember the character's name, but he was writing in an insane asylum, Kill Clouseau all over the walls, and that was it. And they're like, what? Because we'd been trying to think of a band name, and we made a joke. It's like, it just sounded fun, sounded nice. And we went with it and regretted it ever since. It was too damn complicated and weird. And then, actually, you know what? I hate to do this. We're coming up on an hour. There is something I've wanted to present this in the last 2 episodes with Dick, and I still haven't gotten to do it. So it interacts with you guys. I want reactions to this. I want to it's just a random weird thing. And the segue happened because it's actually related to Kill Clouseau. So I've got, I am, I make videos and I keep up with a lot of technical shit with software. Our show is built around the idea of fighting an evil AI. So I have a membership with ChatGPT, like a paid membership. I've been using it. It's been like an assistant to me as far as figuring out production tips, this and that. They keep adding shit to it. One of the things that they added to it recently was that you can now ask it to generate images, which is something you've seen online. It happens. But now it's built in, and it's kind of cool. So I did one randomly, for Kill Clouseau, like our favorite thing that we ever did from a graphic design standpoint was our first EP. It was called Kill Clouseau, Shark Helicopter. All right, that was the name of it. I mean, stupid as shit. And I drew the derpiest.
That's not stupid. That's not stupid.
It's so great. It's so great. Now this says
Shark Helicopter.
I hope this will focus. Let me try to get this to focus. Come on, guys.
The screen.
There we go. Wait, you see that shark helicopter? Now it says something clever because, that's a different story. But I love
the secondary rotor behind the dorsal.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
All right. Now I was a graduate from graphic design school, and this is what I presented to the band.
You couldn't get the rotor on the side of the dorsal fin.
I mean, every way I wanted to look terrible.
If those two rotors are spinning in opposite directions,
I bet that some bitch don't steer very good. Yes.
Now, this is our mascot that we had up in the band room. This was a shark.
Look at those choppers.
Pink Panther hanging off there.
Is that a twisty straw? Is that a twisty straw? Hold the fucking rotor.
That's a twisty straw on one of those boomerangs. It's so damn dusty. I pulled it off. This is in the Key of the Muses wall, right?
Look at those British teeth, though.
Yeah. Man. Fucking snaggletooth.
So Shark Helicopter's been a part of the game the whole time. That's our biggest throwback visually. So I threw a few descriptions together for ChatGPT to create an image for Shark Helicopter. So I'm going to share the screen at this point. Let me get present up here. And this is the first thing. I will read the description in the second file, but here, let's see here. Share
You're about to show us some AI generated artwork.
This is an AI generated version of Shark Helicopter. Okay, this is what it came up with. Yeah, here we go.
Oh my god.
Isn't that kind of cool though?
That's fucking nasty. Hold on.
Isn't that kind of cool?
That's like if Rambo was a pink lion.
If you guys had that for your album cover, you'd be on tour right now.
You'd be touring with Mastodon.
You'd be opening for Mastodon with that motherfucker.
I mean, I was like, holy shit, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Badass.
And so then we can read, here's the description. I said, create an image. I'm reading it out for the podcast audience. Create an image of a giant great white shark flying through the air with a helicopter blade atop of it. On the back tail, put a pink panther riding. Attach machine guns to its sides. I've typo here, fence below. Make the sky stormy with electricity, thunder going around. And that's what it produced.
I mean, that's spot on.
So now look what else I did. I asked it, it said, here's the image, blah, blah, blah. And I said, awesome. Try one more in a different style, but replace background with ocean waves of fire. Okay, you guys want to see what it did?
Yes.
All right, here's the second version it did.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, right?
That belongs on a tank top.
I know we all want to get shirts of it, but it's
I know what my next tattoo is.
Dude, it's so good. I was like, I think I like this one even more than the other one. And we want to get shirts made out of it, but it's unfortunately in the Chat GPT version of this software, because it's using DALL-E. It's low resolution, so it won't really print that well. So I've got to like go into DALL-E and pay to make an image, and then I got to try to describe this and get it to create something again. It's never going to create the same thing again. So this is kind of a lost piece of art at low res. But how cool is that?
It is so cool.
I think it's cool low res. Fucking
Jeff, when you get this tattoo, you got to get Kill Clouseau underneath it, but misspell it.
Right. Okay. So I got one last one for you. Now, this was my least favorite, but it was still pretty cool. So I asked it to do one more, and this time I asked it to add. I said, that's great. Keep the same thing as this, but add Kill Clouseau to the titling, Shark Helicopter. And then I don't know if it's going to show it big enough for you guys to see it, but here's what it produced. And the text is just inaccurate, but here we go. So, okay.
That's pretty
now,
cool.
if you look very closely at the guns, it says Shark Helicopter. There's no Kill Clouseau anywhere. And the first gun says sharks on it. So it didn't understand what to do. It added this commando guy type figure there. But it's still pretty cool.
What I love
the Panther's popping off.
What I love about it is the Panther is fisting that AR.
Yeah. It is. And the shark's got 3 eyes. Look, it's got 2 eyes. It messes up some. There's like weird anomalies that happen in it sometimes.
Yeah, I noticed it put the tail rotor on the tail of the Panther on the last one.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Go back. Can you go back?
Yeah,
wait, real quick. This one, if you look, one of the blades of the helicopter is actually firing off a round.
That's pretty cool.
They all do that.
Let me go back to the previous one here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, how did I not see that before?
Oh, my God.
That's good. That's high quality H2O right there.
But it's like its mess ups are really cool. Like I like that that makes it more hilarious. Like,
dude,
that's the world of AI generation, guys. That's pretty intimidating. Hey, that's pretty good.
Whenever you get the low res tank top ready to go, I'm buying a few of them.
Dude, we might have to do a Kill Clouseau reunion show just to sell these fucking shirts because they will sell like hotcakes.
Oh man,
pretty good stuff.
I'm sold.
Right? And then closing, there's the original one again, just for one last viewing here. There you go. Which is pretty cool too.
And
Very awesome.
I do like that there's a lot of realism in this one.
I know
Because
they-
it's beautiful. I think that shark really is looking like a helicopter.
It's cool, man. I was caught off guard by how cool it was. So I sent it to the guys, and they were all, going ape shit over and like, what the hell is this? Where did this come from? And
Did they say they're ready to do a reunion yet?
oh, dude, it's such a long story. Bottom line is well, I don't even want to say on the podcast, but the guitar, I'm sorry, the bass player and the singer would do it pretty much in a heartbeat. We'd need to get a drummer lined up. I think it was a little hard getting our drummer back in town for it. So, and they're not the easiest songs to just learn. They're kind of progressive,
I know a guy near and dear to our hearts, so would probably be worth asking if he'd be interested in helping you out with that.
Yeah, totally. I think what we're gonna do is to close out the show. I'll say my goal is to finish the episodes of Cue the Muses. I want to finish that out. It's so time consuming. It's insane. It's held me back from being able to write new music, even though I have stuff and stocked up, but I want to perform again. But my thing for myself is every spare moment is trying to finish those episodes out. So we have our full season, our full album out. We worked so hard on it. I just can't, it's too much sitting in the background for me to pursue and start something else. I'm going to do that. Once I do that, I'd like to perform live as Cue the Muses. I'd like to get Kill Clouseau back together. I'd like to perform again for a while and, generate ideas for more Cue the Muses stuff. Maybe go record and then, gently take on the next chapter of that.
I have an idea for another vocalist spot on Cue the Muses.
You're pointing at your keyboard. Yeah, Tim, we've already talked in the background. If you're willing, you got to sing on the next one.
Yeah, we could probably make that happen.
Cool. Yeah, great. We'll give you the most cookie cutter song we have on the album.
Nice. I like cookie cutter.
All the hooks, the one with the most hooks, and that's super short and catchy.
That's
you got
great.
it.
Love
That's
it.
yours, buddy.
Yep.
So before you hit that stop button, you started out with lots of compliments, and it was greatly appreciated. You don't typically do well with compliments, but you guys definitely deserve some as well. I went back, and we haven't hardly talked about Cue the Muses this whole fuck off session, but I went back and rewatched everything, and I rewatched the stuff that y'all did for the Fighting Giants visual EP that y'all put together. And it's really impressive the amount of talent and skill that you guys bring to the table with this stuff. I know when originally it was just conversations, hey, we're gonna do this thing, and Richard was talking about it. I took it super seriously. I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen. Sure. And
you talking about the Giants thing?
Yeah. I was like, that's gonna come out like, Kraft single slice wrapped up cheese, authentic.
So hold on, let me say, Ash. In the Fighting Giants visual EP, there's a scene where we get the shit kicked out of us. I get knocked out by one of the ninjas with the nunchucks, and when I'm laying face down on the ground, and I pull out my phone and I make a phone call. In the original script that I had written, I was supposed to call Brother Roadkill.
Oh yeah.
And Brother Roadkill was our nickname for Tim in 86 The Earth. And it was going to be Tim. And when I asked Tim, this is where his head was at. He said, "This no."
He's like, I'm not doing that. No, I'm good with that. And man, my socks were blown off,
Awesome.
In a great way. I was floored by it. Of course, later, I don't know. I have not watched it or seen anyone watch it, any of the Cue the Muses or the Fighting Giants stuff without, big grins coming out. It's just
awesome.
Fun shit. And you guys are awesome at it. And I absolutely love the music that you guys put together for the Cue the Muses stuff.
Cool.
And I mean, it's really, really good stuff. really good stuff. And the other thing, I've been home for a year, but it's it takes a while to get back in the swing of things. When you shut down your friend circle, you change your whole goddamn life for a good long time. It takes a while to get going again. And being back around you guys has been such a beneficial thing for me. Just seeing other dudes that have so much going on. Everybody's got a family. Everybody's got a career. Everybody has something going on from 6 a.m. till 6 a.m. the next day. There's always something to do. Always something to keep going at. And you guys are always after it, always getting shit done and finding time to make good stuff. And it's impressive as fuck, and it's motivating, and it's good stuff. And I'm really, really glad to be around and be a part of it.
We are too, bro.
Fantastic, man. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, I agree. Being around, there's a lot to being around a collective group of people that are actually taking the time on top of insane schedules to still persevere through and put their art on the table. And I think it also it adds value to everything else that you do. Right. Like it's like if you can keep that fire alive inside of you, then your work ethic is better. The execution of your tasks and how you handle life is it's approached from a different light. It's not just this sterile get through. It's an adventure of learning and growing and evolving, and it becomes like this beautiful thing. Having a great life in itself is something to pursue. That doesn't mean monetarily. That just means like the appreciation of it, and the gratitude, and the value and the acknowledgement. It's so hard oftentimes, especially when you're real busy, to acknowledge how many amazing moments are happening around you. And you realize, especially as we get older too, you think back, oh, those were good times, but you didn't, it's so hard in the moment to acknowledge how many memories you're actually making.
Yeah.
And, you look back on it even a few years ago, and you can think of things that were happening, and it's like you didn't acknowledge it at the time. And I think that that's something to pursue getting more aware of. And I think when you delve into your art deeply, you're actually exploring that in the moment sensation, and you're tapping into that. I think it makes you better at acknowledging and appreciating moments that are happening around you in all aspects, because it's like that's what you're practicing when you're chasing the creation of an art, whether it's singing or drawing or whatever. Like when you're exploring that, you're trying to be as sensitive to the moment as possible for the guidance on where it wants to go next. That's actually kind of the instigator of the muse concept. I mean, without getting spiritual or religious here, the concept of a muse is like that it's some other force that you're kind of tapping into to either collaborate with or is guiding your art. You could call that the universe, you could call that God, you could call it whatever you want to, but the bottom line is that there's something that you're trying to be sensitive to, even if it's just your internal compass that can so easily be dulled out and muted out. And so when you talked with it, you just talked, that's what it triggers in me, is trying to constantly remember all that. And that's how I kind of relate and identify with those.
Well, I'm glad, because we are right on the same page.
Beautiful.
And it comes through in what I see in this, in this group and what you guys do, not only with your art, but in your lives. And that's, we're all trying to get better. I struggle with it, but it's good to have people doing the same kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Could we end on a better note than this? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's awesome, guys. I can't thank you enough for being on. Dave's last night, everybody. They are going to be playing more shows in the future. They're going to have recordings. Keep your eyes and ears out for them.
January 13th, right at Legacy at the Riverfront in Tallahassee. Opening up.
Come on out. We're gonna oil that midnight burn.
That's right. We're gonna grease that stage up real nice and thick, like before Tragic gets up there. Them boys gonna slip and fall,
Oh,
and all
cool.
and all that greased up ass bussy we left on that stage.
That's awesome, guys. Well, I will plan to be there unless I'm out of town filming, and it's going to be great. And you guys have a great rest of your night. And at this point, Dick, sign us off.
Thanks for having us, boys.
Absolutely, guys.
Appreciate you guys coming on. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Cue the Muses YouTube channel. We do not have music on Spotify. Please help us out. Spread the word. We love you. Thanks. How do I